Well, good morning everyone and welcome back. So today we have got a couple of lumber orders to fill, and I want to go ahead and knock out my 2x4 order first because I'm not sure when this gentleman wants to show up and get his board. So we need to make 40 2x4s in there. 2x4, full dimensions, full 2 inches, full 4 inches, and then 10 feet long. And I have it cut at about 10 feet 8 inches, something like that, just to give the person a little bit more so he can trim off whatever he needs. Now, this log right here is one of the prettiest logs that I have ever cut. It is a huge log. It is about 19 inches here. It is like 22 or so inches on the large end. This is the small end right here. Very straight, very symmetrical. Of course, we do have a knot right here, but it looks like it's going to be very clear as well. Now, my goal in this log is to get 4 4-inch cants. Now, a cant is just the block, basically. It's the chunk of wood after you take all of the bark off, all the round spots off. And I want to try to get 4 4-inch cants from which we can start getting our 2-inch section. So let's take a crayon and kind of guesstimate what we're going to be able to get here. So it's 19 inches, so what I need is a 16-inch cant so I can get 4 4-inch cants out of it. So we're not going to exactly measure here, but I want to give you a visual. So we're going to take these slabs off, and then we're going to keep going through the middle here, and we're going to get our 4 4-inch cants out of the rest of it. Now, I hope that's about as clear as mud there. So we have a 4-inch cant here, 4 here, 4 here, 4 here, and if everything goes, I can't talk today. If everything goes really well, we might end up getting 16 plus 2x4s out of this log. At least that's my goal. Let's cut it and see what happens. Come look at the end of this log. You see those marks?
Yeah.
Do you think I can cut this log and get over 16 2x4s out of it?
I don't know. Maybe not.
Before we get started, let's put a brand new blade on this thing. A good sharp blade always makes cutting a lot more pleasant. Here's our nice shiny blade. So at this point, I'm ready to go ahead and make my first cut, but I wanted to make note of a couple of things before I get started. So first of all, I want to make a 16-inch cant out of this thing. So the first cant I want before I make my 4 4-inch cants needs to be 16 inches. And with a 19-inch log, that only leaves me with 3 inches of wiggle room as I cut the bark off of this thing. And what that means is I have to split that 3 inches between this and this, so I only actually have 1.5 inches of wiggle room. And to further complicate things, I have to account for the kerf of the blade, which is the material that the blade removes, which is about 1/8 of an inch or so. So actually I only have 2.5 inches to work with, which translates to 1.25 inches up here and 1.25 inches down here. So things are pretty tight here, and I hope that I can make good accurate cuts and maximize my amount of boards here. The second thing I wanted to make mention of, this is a screenshot from about maybe 10 minutes or so ago, and I hope that y'all can see that. I don't know if you can. I may have to just put it on the screen. Fall Line Ridge now has 399,249 subscribers, which blows my mind. It blows my mind that we have 1,000 subscribers. When I first started the channel, I thought, well, maybe I can just piddle around with this and it'll be a fun thing to do and maybe it'll turn into something small. I never in a million years imagined that this would happen. Will we hit 400,000 this month? I believe so. With the rate it's going, I think it will hit 400,000 this month. That's super exciting. Guys, y'all are the reason for that, and I cannot tell you how grateful we are to y'all. Let's get into this log. All right, so far things are going really well with this log. At this point though, I need to make a decision about what I'm gonna do next. So this side of the log right here is ultimately gonna be the side of the log that is down on these bunks of the sawmill as I get my 2-inch boards out of the 4 cants. So in other words, my next step is to turn this log this way, get my 4-inch cants, and then turn it another 45 degrees, and then start getting my 2 inches. However, the issue that I have right now, since this side is going to be down on the bunks as I'm getting my 2-inch pieces, I'm not going to be able to clamp it worth anything because I've got this wane right here. So the best thing to do at this point is to take this right here, come down 2 inches. That may not even get the wane off as well. I may have to end up doing that twice, but my best bet is to take 1 or 2 2-inch pieces off of this right here, put those to the side, and when the rest of the log is finished, put those back on the mill and get 2x4s out of those pieces as well. That will save this material right here, but it'll also give me a good sharp 45-degree edge, or corner rather, to clamp onto, and that's super important when I get to that step. So yeah, let's get a couple of 2-inch slabs out of this, and we'll go from there. All right, tell me what you made.
A shop where you can get sticks. Can you come buy some sticks?
What kind of money do I need?
You don't need any money.
Ooh, I like that shop. Let's go.
So I'll have to teach you how to get it on the table.
All right, how do I choose my stick? Oops. Well, thank you very much. I'm gonna take these to the sawmill and make tiny boards out of them. I always tend to forget on these really large logs how much a hassle that they can be. So at this point I have to take this top cant off so that the mill can continue to go down and grab the last 2 cants out of this log. So we'll move this to the side and then we'll put it back on later. All right, so at this point I'm ready to start getting my 2-inch boards out of these 3 cants, and we'll do the other cant and those 2 other slabs later. But if you look at these 3 cants right here, we've got 1, 2, 3 4-inch cants. These 2 right here, I can just skim off a little bit right there and probably go ahead and clean off the tops, or be pretty close at least, the tops of these 2 cants. And at that point I'll begin to get my 2-inch pieces. This one over here, won't get as many out of this one because of all of this wane right here, all of this bark right here. So my guess is that once I get 1 or 2 boards out of these 2 right here. At that point, I'll probably start getting usable boards, or it may take the 3rd cut, I'm not sure, out of this cant right here. So either way, here come the boards. Let's get them. Oh, and while we're here, let's measure this really quick. So what we have here is 13 inches. So my guess is that I will get 12 out of these 2, probably 4 out of this one right here, and then out of that one over there I'll probably get 4 more, and then a few more out of those 2 slabs. So we may be looking at 20 boards. I want to show y'all something that's kind of a bummer here, and it's always difficult to remember to take this into account when you're trying to estimate the amount of boards you can get out of a log. But these are the last 3 out of those 3 cants right here, the bottom cut, and they're just a little too thin. They're about 1 3/4 inches, somewhere thereabouts, and these are really perfectly fine for anything you would want to use them for. I mean, for framing, that 4-inch width is about the most important aspect of these boards. However, he wanted 2-inch thick ones. I mean, you can't expect total perfection from a rough cut sawmill. However, 1/4 inch off is just way too much. So anyway, I'll throw these in this order, no extra charge, but I won't count it in the 40 batch. So he'll just get these as extras in case he needs some extras or for any reason. So that turned out extremely well. I didn't film that last slab cutting it up because I think y'all get the point at this point. But anyway, so I ended up getting 22 very, very nice 2x4s out of that log. I think I need to quit trying to guess yields on camera because it doesn't work out very often. So 22 really nice 2x4s, and then there's those 3 that were a little bit too thin, and then there's one right there. Ignore that board over there. Then there's one right there that it had all that wane on it. I'm going to send that home with him as well. It's actually a usable 2x4, but it's just pretty ugly looking. So anyhow, can you imagine if these had all been perfect? It would have been, what, 26 2x4s? 26 usable boards anyway, but 22 to count towards the 40 total. That is a tremendous yield from that log. That was the last time I'm gonna guess the yield of a log, at least on this video. So I ended up getting 9 out of that one, 9 nice 2x4s and 3 of the thin ones. And again, I'm gonna throw those over here, and he can have them and do whatever he wants to with them. But that that gives us 31 2x4s that are in good shape. So we need 9 more, not bad. GoPro. Oh no. GoPro, stop recording. All right, here's our next log, and this is a really nice log. It is 17 inches wide. It's a very straight log, but there's one pretty serious complication. Do y'all see this right here? It's like a quarter of the log that is basically powder at this point. It is completely destroyed, it's dead, and it's just coming apart. So this tree got struck by lightning, and basically a quarter of it has been fried. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to figure out how to best cut this log to maximize production while staying away from this. And what I want to do at this point is start on the, I'm not done with the first order, but I want to start on the next order because I think this is a good log to get those boards out of. I need 7 1x12x12s. I actually need 6 because I've already got one. So I need 6 1x12x12s out of this log, and I do believe that I can get it. I think the best thing to do is to turn it so that I can cut this first, then this. I wish I had my crayon with me. This first, then this, and then begin to get my boards out of this section right here. I think I can get all 6, and then if there's anything left alive right here, maybe I can get a couple of 2x4s out of it. I don't know, let's give it a try. Here's the outside of the log here. So here's our dead quarter of the log, and look at that. Unfortunately, it's almost at a spiral pattern, very kind of a slight spiral. It kind of goes off to the left, but yeah, look, the bark got blown off of this tree in that one spot there. have to say, where it didn't get fried by the lightning, it's an awfully nice looking log. Look at that. Well guys, I just made a big mistake. Earlier today I pre-cut some logs so I could just come out and grab them and go, and I thought that I cut one at 12 feet for those 1x12x12s, but that one was not it. That's still at 10 feet, so I'm making pointless boards right now. It's starting to look like I didn't cut any of them at 12. I just thought I did. That one's not cut. These two are not cut either. At this point, all I can do is try to salvage some 2x4s out of that log, and I'm in a bad spot because I think I'm getting pretty close to the dead part of it. Well, maybe I can salvage some out of it. So here's what I've got left. See, I cut, well, those are so pretty too. Got that cut, and I really thought maybe I could get a 4-inch cant out of that and start with some 2x4s, but unfortunately, it goes into that. Maybe I could work in this area right here. No, that goes into that area there. Man, what a disaster. Fortunately, I've got 2 slabs over there. I can salvage some 2x4s out of it. I'm gonna put it on a time lapse. Let me see what I can salvage out of this log. Well, I think it's just about time to wrap this one up. I spent some time trying to get as many 2x4s out of that log as I possibly could, and I only ended up getting 5. That rot was worse than I thought. It affected quite a bit of that log, and it was pretty disappointing because I would cut these 2x4s, and I would find some that were 100% rotten, but then I'd find one that maybe only had like 10% rot on it. But I wasn't gonna. You just can't throw that in the stack, 10% rotten 2x4. So only 5 were really worth keeping, and that's just how it worked out, unfortunately. Also needed 4 more after that, so I grabbed a smaller log and was able to get my 4 out of that. And here's our stack of 40. That's a complete order. He should be up here later today, plus those 2 1-bys over there. And my plan was to put that order of the 1-bys on this video as well, but doing the 2-bys has really gone long, so we'll do that some other time. So I want to appreciate y'all. I do appreciate y'all. I want to thank y'all for watching this video. The channel is at 399,252 subscribers, so we need 748 more. We'll be at 400,000 subscribers. I know a lot of y'all have been here since the beginning. A lot of y'all have just recently come on to the channel. I appreciate every one of y'all. It's amazing to me. 400,000 subscribers to the channel. That is crazy. Thank y'all so much for your support, and I will see y'all on the next one.